Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's Engager demonstration, where we're going to be focusing pretty much centrally on the automated emails part of Engager. For anyone who hasn't been on any webinars with me before, I'm Nick Moss, and I head up the pre-sales and training team at TaxCalc Engager. So make sure all of our team know all the demonstrations angles of the system. But also look after the training element as well, making sure that anyone who does decide to take on the product understands what we need to learn going forwards. Now, what we've got in the live storm session today effectively is a button in the bottom right hand corner for the chat function. Please feel free just to put any points you've got in there. I will be keeping track of that. If there's any questions that you particularly want me to focus on specifically that maybe I've not gone through in particular, please feel free to pop any questions in the chat box there as well, in the question boxes there as well. I do have my colleague Andy, who's in the professional services team with us today, will be in the chat today asking us, be able to help us with the questions that we'll be going through today. So please do pop them in there and Andy will be able to pick them as well. But let's jump into Engager and talk you through the automated email function. So let me figure out again how to share my screen, because I'm always a nightmare at doing this. Let's have a look. Particular entire screen and share it on there, and then my Engager system will come through nice and clear. Okay, so I'm logged into my Engager system here, and if I click on my clients button in the top left-hand corner, let me zoom in a little bit here because it's probably a little bit small on that screen there. There we go. Right, probably a bit too much. I'm going to go through some settings that you can have turned on for automated emails. So if I've got my Engager system open here, and in the top right corner, I've got my name. So where I've got Nick Moss there in the top right corner, if you click that, this is where you go through to your settings section. If I click settings in the top right hand corner, this is where I have, unsurprisingly, the area to go and change the settings part of Engager. Now, on the right-hand side, this is where I've got my services. This is where you would go and set up what different services you wanted to offer your clients, whether it be part of the engagement letters or part of the proposals. But we're going to focus primarily on how you can set up and turn on automated emails regarding to these services, because you can see here that I've got limited company, MTD for SA100, CT100, different services that I would offer my clients. In this list here, and you can go and tailor that list however you want, but this is just my example one I've got here. But if I use my limited company accounts service as the example, we have the option on the right hand side for our global auto reminders. So it's here where you can click the little clock that says set up, and within here, this is where it allows you to set up what emails do you want to either go out automatically or to be put in a queue at certain points in time, ready for you to then send out to your clients for you to review before it goes out just straight away. So you can see I've got 3 different global auto reminders you can turn on, but you can have as many as you like. A lot of practices just have 1 or 2. You can have literally as many as you like. So it can almost be like a degrees of assertiveness depending on how close it is to your client's filing deadline if they're not sending you the information. But if I look at, say, this first one here that is run 9 months before the due date, i.e. at your client's year end, I can then go and edit this to say, change all the different settings within it. So first off, is it enabled? Is it turned on or not? Okay. So we've got James. I'll hopefully be able to go through these as well. So yep. So we've got is this an auto reminder enabled or not? Because you can turn it on or off depending on the time of year, particularly for personal tax returns. You may only want to turn on automated reminders maybe from, say, October onwards, depending on how your practice works. Do you want it to be put in a queue for review and confirmation for executing? I will show you what this looks like in terms of when it goes into a queue ready to be sent out. So there are some emails, and this one potentially is one that you just want to go automatically, and I explain why later on, that you are happy for the system just to send out. Yep. Or do you want it to be put in a list for you to have a look at and go, actually, no, I don't want to send that one out, but these 3 I'm ready to go out. So do you want it to be put in a queue effectively before you send it out? When do you want that email to be run as a time? And do you want it to run on weekends or not? Generally, I say no on weekends, just because I want to have an understanding of what has gone out and when. But it's this bit here, what to do. Do you want to send an email from a template? Now, Engager quite kindly has provided standard email templates to use, but you can absolutely go and create whatever email templates you want. And I'm going to be able to I'm going to show you how to go and create your own templates and certain placeholders that can be put in there. But if I hit the little preview eye there, that will show you what this template fundamentally looks like. So you can see there it says, hi, insert contact preference name there. Congratulations on reaching the end of another trading year. Our team is currently preparing your books for the accounts production process. I want to check if there's any urgency in having your accounts finalized. or we aim to complete your accounts in the first 3 months of the year end. We can prioritize them if any pressing needs. Now, I appreciate not every practice will expect to complete them in the first 3 months of the year, right? It depends on the content and the client base that you look after. But that's just an example one that's in the system. You can go and create an email template that says, congrats on the reach of the trading year. If you send us information, if there's anything you may be unaware of, let us know ASAP. And we've got 9 months to make sure you file it, unless there's anything specific. But the point is there that can then be generated, and I do not want to repeat sending that email. Okay. Now that's going to send it out at the client's period end no matter what. Whereas if I then look at a slightly different one, which is then say this one down the bottom where it's run 3 months minus 1 day before the due date, so that's 6 months after the client's year end, this has got a slightly different bit of terminology. So yes, it's going to be put in review for confirmation before executing. It's not just going to auto send out this one, but this has got a different email content that says, look, please note your company accounts for the clients for the year end are now due for preparation. Make sure you send information. It's a much more, I'd say authoritative email that's going out rather than kind of a congratulations reaching of the trading year. But you can choose when do you want that to be sent out, and do you want it to repeat. I've got mine set to repeat every 7 days. You might only want to say I want that to go out every 14 days. Yep. But I'm happy for that to just go out every 14 days before the statutory deadline. However, you only want to send that email saying, look, we're still awaiting your information, to the clients where the job status is in these 3 settings. For example, you don't want to send out a request for information or reminder for information for any clients whose records are currently being worked on, right, in terms of they're in review or queries have been sent, right? So it's integrated with the job settings as well. So it's only going to send a reminder for your clients information if they're not marked as received in the system. So it's super helpful in there. Now, so that's how you can go and turn them on. Any questions, please do pop them in the chat there. In terms of a specific email concepts we've got there, that's for limited company accounts. You might have one, say, for MTD for it. It looks like one of my team members has set up for me very kindly, where say it's run 1 month and 7 days before the due date. And this is one that will say, hi, contact, make sure you send us all your information regarding sales, purchases, digital records, or the relevant information. Yep. And again, that's only going to go to clients where they're in the request records phase. Yep. So it's only going to go into that particular set. But then I've got it set that run 25 days before. It'll then have a repeat of this one, which is more of a reminder. With our records indicate we're still waiting to receive your information. So super important that you have the right template set up with the right repeater on and the right phases. So with that there, what that then allows you to do is then go and create your own templates alongside that. So if I go back to my settings in the top right hand corner and click settings again, I can then go to my communication message templates, and it's in here where you can go and create your own email templates to then include in those automated reminders. So we have the ability in the top right hand corner to click new template, and let's call it test for demo. Yeah, we can get rid of it after today. It's not the end of the world. What category do you want that to sit in? So we're going to put that in, say, payment reminders, let's say, and my email subject, test 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter for today. But then here, this is where you can go and create your email template that will say dear, and then we'll add a placeholder in a second. And then I could say, test wording in here. Kind regards. Yep, and you want it to come from the manager. Okay. Now with that, if I go to insert placeholder, this is where I can select where I want a placeholder to be, because this is where it can pull information through from the actual Engager database into the body of the email template itself. Right? Rather than having to type the client's name in each time, it will just pull that through from the Engager database. So if I just type name in here, so here we go, first name of the recipients, you've got contact first name. So if I choose contact first name, that's going to add that into that box. And if I go kind regards, I want it to come from my manager, or whoever the manager is of the particular client. I can search for manager, and I've got that there, search manager. And double click on it, it pulls it through. So that's how you would go and build your email templates. And it's a very basic example. But with that, what you would then be able to do is if I save that, called test for demo, I'm able to go back to my services. It's back to my settings and back to my services on the right-hand side. And here, if I go back to my MTD for it one, this is where it would then appear. Wrong button. Click the little clock to set up the global auto reminders that we saw before. Now click the pencil and we'll see that test for demo content is where that would appear. Okay, so this is where once you've built your email templates, you can pick them through. Now, I did see a question there about what happens, where do you see the queued emails when they're ready to go out? So I think so that the Andy message, I will show that. This is where when you come in the morning, you will have this automations at the top. So I've got 51 automations ready to go. And in here, if I can click on it, it will show me my queued emails, which ones have been failed, which ones are in progress, which are successful. So in here, I can then filter and say which emails am I interested in seeing. So I've got a whole host of emails that probably should have gone out, months ago that in my demo system that we never actually send out. But I could say, actually, I'm only interested in seeing what is maybe in Andy's list. Andy's got none because Andy's on top of this and he's sending all of his out because he's much better at this stuff than I am. But if I come in here and let's say pick Phil Cotterill, you see Phil's got 2 emails that needed to go out. They should have gone out in March. So again, appreciate that. We should be sending them out. But here we can then click the little eye on the right hand side to see what that email would have looked like before sending it out. So from in here, you can then view it. Equally, if you go, I'm not 100% happy with that, you can click the little pencil and change any particular text if you wanted to. And then on the right hand side, you can have the green tick to send it out or the red trash can to delete it if you're not happy for it to go out. So that's how I would be utilizing the automated emails regarding services. Yep, that when jobs are at certain points in the process, it will then generate particular emails to be sent out, and you can review it before it goes out. And you almost like I would have it as a first thing in the morning. Come in, what's my automations? What emails need to go out? That's how I would process that. But there's an additional function that was added in, I'd say probably 6 months ago now, that I don't believe enough people in the Engage user base are aware of if you're using the jobs function. So if I go to my jobs here and look at my SA100s, you may be aware that if I open a particular jobs card here and look at my phases, in my last phase here, I've got file tax return, and there's 3 little icons here. Now, the one in the middle is the one I want to particularly focus on. So can you see if I just hover over this little email, it says sending an email suggested on phase completion. So what this means is that when you mark that phase as complete, so like I have filed the tax return, it will then give me a pop-up box and say, do you want to send an email to your client? Yep, to say that you filed it. For example, if I click on Ben Bravo's here, little one here, and just set final phase to incomplete, and then complete that last phase, it will ask me, do you want to raise a bill? Are you sure you want to complete without raising an invoice? I'll say yes, but it's here. This phase was assigned an email template to send its completion. Do you want to bring up the compose window to send a message? And once I show you this, I'll show you how you would go and set it up. So if I say yes, it will then pull up an email template that I've set in my system, basically saying, if I preview this and show you what it looks like, dear Ben, we're pleased to let you know we have now submitted your self-assessment tax return to HMRC. Per our records, these are the figures you're expected to pay. A copy of your approved tax return is in your client portal. Now, I'll talk about these in a bit, but these bits of information are actually information that's coming from the TaxCalc tax return system itself. So if you are a TaxCalc user and you used TaxCalc to file Ben's tax return in this example, you can connect TaxCalc and Engager together to pull through those tax liabilities into the body of emails and into your Engager database. Hugely popular bit. I appreciate this was super helpful last week, for say your payment on account reminders, but it's also potentially helpful for doing say a corporation tax payment reminder email that you can send out to your limited companies that have say got a payment deadline at the end of August, let's say. So to turn on that function, it's going back into the services section. So again, we go into settings in the top right corner. We then go into our services on the right hand side. And then if I go to my SA100 as an example here and click the little pencil on the right hand side to edit the service. Again, bear in mind, this is all recorded. You can watch it back at another point. If I'm going too quickly, I apologize. If I go too quickly, I know I've got a problem with that, and I do try and slow myself down. If I scroll down this services list, we can see I've got my phases. So I've got request information, I've got information received, I've got prepare tax return. But if I scroll right to the bottom here where I've got file tax return, you can see this is the option here where it says template for an email to send on completion of the phase. So in the drop down box here, you then pick which email template you want to generate So that pops them in the window for you to then go review, change, and send out. Super, super helpful bit that means that if there's any emails that you send consistently at a specific point of a phase completion, the system can just go, right, well, that phase is done. You probably want to send this email to your client. It'll generate that for you rather than having to go to Outlook and generate it manually yourself. So if you've got the template set up, the automation turned on in the service, you'll get that pop-up box when you complete a particular one. A good example of this is when I used to work in practice that quite often, if a client sent me their information and there weren't any queries, they wouldn't hear from me from the point of dropping off the information to then sending it out for approval. So there was no real update for them to know that it was being moved along that journey, that something was happening. So what you could potentially do is you could turn on a template for an email to send a completion of a phase at the, say, prepare tax return step. Yep. To say that it has been prepared and potentially it's gone for review, have a review process internally, so that you can then, the email says something like, dear client, just to let you know your accounts have been drafted, they're currently in review, expect to receive them for approval in the next 2 weeks. You're letting them know that the work is being moved on. So they're not going to ring you up and ask if it's been forgotten about. Yep, it's about just helping them with that, right? That I think is a super, super helpful bit. It's similar to, say, how Amazon works, right? When you order, say, an item from Amazon, it will send you an email to tell you that the order's been accepted. It'll send you an email to say that it's been dispatched. It'll send you an email saying it's out for delivery. You'll get another notification saying that it's 8 stops away. And you'll get another one saying it's delivered, right? That whole reason is to keep you up to date that something is happening, so you're not questioning what it is. This function here allows you to do a similar thing with templated emails just going out to your client base. Okay. Now let me just see what we've got in here. I appreciate there's a lot of questions coming through the chat, and I see Andy's answering loads of those. So where's the queue, Stevie? Hopefully I mentioned that one for you. I assume I need access as I have no option to click anything under global reminders. It just says none yet or one enabled, nothing to click on. Sally, you should be able to, if I go back to the settings section and go back to my services that we saw before, you should be able to click this little clock that says setup. Is that not there? Is that not there, Sally? Yeah. Let's have another one. Fran saying one of the biggest challenges is determining what specific information is still needed for a client. We have to go in on the checklist and work out and generate a mail accordingly. It's a way of looking at checklists to automatically extract this. There's not at the minute. I think Andy's probably answered that one for you potentially. Yeah, Andy's answering that, but it's something which we can take on board definitely and see if there's anything we can do about that. I don't want to speak for the product team. Not sure how difficult that would be, but yeah, we can definitely take that on board and take it back. Can you set up a bespoke reminder for a client that is automated? For example, can I list specific info we normally receive from a client for an MTD return? This may be different from another client. That could potentially be a custom field function. Yeah, it looks like Robin's service auto reminders than client specific. Perfect. There you go, Robin. Perfect. So yeah, so if you go to service reminders, service auto reminders, I think I'm losing my mind here. That's my letter of engagement template. Yeah, so you've got primary contact only there. Let me just check on a particular client. Yep, so what Robin was referencing here is on the left-hand side, say for Alpha Limited of a client record, it's here. You can then go and edit the content. So if I wanted my limited company account one to be different, yep, I could then be able to go and do current client specific auto reminders. So use almost a template and then go and change it if I wanted to for that specific client. So hopefully that's answered your question there for that one, Sarah. Thank you for Robin for picking that one out. Zayab, regarding the job status in email, when I change the status and when I complete the email, the status does not reset to the next date. Can it be changed so that yeah, so yeah, you'd have to set yeah, Robin, spot on. You'd need to set phases and end the phase, yeah, to move on to the next one. Do we need to set up confirmation of file an SA100 email? So you would need, if you wanted that function I showed before there, Emma, where it sends that off, yes, you need to create that template. I'm happy to put that template in the chat if the messages aren't, if the content isn't too large, just so you've got that. I tried to do that before on a different webinar, it didn't work. So let's see what I've got in here. The category will be confirmation of filing SA100. So potentially you could have this. Again, feel free to take out the payments if you don't use TaxCalc. Let me see if I can just pop that into the chat and see if that works. Yeah, I think that's gone through there. So you've got that content in the chat if you wanted that template. I'm trying something new, create a custom field where I'm adding all queries, placeholder, and email template, and then automated email and the query status. I think it's possible. Want to check if anyone's tried that. I'd have to keep the custom field updated, reminded, updated queries, and I try that. Yeah, Dishant, not a bad idea. If you wanted to have one template for it, that it then pulls through exactly what is correct for the client, but the custom field will just need to be updated, as he's saying. Just whether that would be too much work to keep that updated and make sure it's complete on every single client, right? Yeah, Andy's exactly that. You can also set up for other phase completion. Yeah, people saying that email template isn't in there, so that's why I populated it into the chat. Yeah, Eleanor, about the TaxCalc integration. So TaxCalc integration for the tax return emails makes sense. We advise to maybe hold off connecting TaxCalc just yet until the integration fully complete. Is it a good time to connect them now? Now, you know, for me, if you wanted to use the payment on account reminders, that was a huge part of your practice. Connecting them last week would have been fine, right? For me, it may make sense to hold off until maybe just another 4 weeks if you've not done it already. Reason being is that there's been a few reports of people not liking how the address syncs at the minute, and we're going to update that in probably about 4 weeks' time. But equally, you can turn on the integration, link all your clients, which does help from a client creation point of view quite enormously, actually. But and then just turn off the notifications regarding TaxCalc sync issues. But yeah, I personally would have it connected. I've had mine connected since November last year, right? And turn off the sync notifications for TaxCalc because the issues around addresses. But yeah, there'll be people on the call today who are happy to say what their opinions are and how they've integrated it between the two systems. So I appreciate that's my 2 pence. But if anyone has connected the two systems and has their opinion on it, please feel free to put that in the chat for Eleanor to have a look at as well. Heather saying that Robin is logged in from holiday, probably on there. So is there training like this for checklist? I mean, Steve, if you think this is useful, we're always open to running additional sessions on particular sections that you think would be super helpful. So absolutely, if you think that worthwhile running a specific checklist session for about half an hour, 45 minutes, absolutely, we will do that. It's part of the benefit that because I run the team, I can provide the resource. So absolutely, anything like that, please do get in touch with Engager or TaxCalc, your account manager, anyone you've ever had any communication with. Tell us what you want more assistance with, and we can help you. So absolutely, we can sort out a checklist one. What I also just want to focus on briefly, I appreciate we did a webinar on it in I think at the start of last week or the week before around the payment on account emails. I want to tell you what is in that integration from a placeholder perspective from the tax data, because if I go to my client in the top left hand corner and open up, say, Adam Alpha on the left hand side, if you have your TaxCalc and Engager systems linked together and your client is linked, it will tell you under the tax references tab in the top left hand corner of Engager. It will then tell you what their tax due information is in July for the relevant tax periods that you've created. So you'd have that information in there. You would also have, if I went to, say, a limited company such as Bravo Limited here, it would then tell me the corporation tax figure as well. Now, it looks like there's no corporation tax figure in this one because they may not have produced a corporation tax return, but you'd have that information stored within Engager, okay? Super helpful data point to see just at any point in time, okay? There is no integration with Iris, unfortunately, purely with TaxCalc on Engager. Now, that there would then effectively allow you to then go to your email templates that I mentioned before. So you go to your settings and go to message templates. I could then create a new template. So if I go to new template at the top and call it corporation tax payment reminder, and the category will be in payment reminders, and then I will say your CT 600 payment is due by the end of the month. I appreciate it's always the first of the month after, but Sometimes giving clients 1 day leeway is helpful. So you create that, and then you would put something like dear, and then use the same placeholder we saw before, using these little brackets again. So if I search for name, you might then have client name of client. So you put name in there, that'll bring through the limited company name. So you've got dear name. As per our records, you have a corporation tax payment of, and then here, this is where you can use the placeholders to pull through. If I scroll a bit further down, this is where we then find the TaxCalc corporation tax data and TaxCalc self-assessment data fields available as placeholders. So we can see here the corporation tax figure. I can double click on that, and that will then pull through the TaxCalc CT figure into the email. So you can say, as per reckons, you have a corporation tax payment of due by the end of this month. Yep. Please use the payment references listed to you in our prior communication, or you could again have it included in there if that was a custom field or a placeholder if you wanted to, because we don't have that field because it changes every year, whereas obviously the self-assessment payment references is a UTR number K. This corporation tax does change each year, so you have to update that to make this payment. Yeah, your email template is much better than mine. I'm just knocking this off the top of my head. Kind regards. Yep, and then insert manager. Yep. So with that, what you would then be able to do is then go to your client list, and you could then filter by accounts year end. So you could say I want to filter by accounts year end or due date, whichever one that will be. Where would that accounts year end be? If I'm going mad here. Tell you what, let's just sort by accounts year end anyway. Okay. And then have it as just limited companies. So my type would be, client type would be limited company. Yep. And then I could say, right, which are the ones we want to file for now? It will be end of August, would be end of November. Yeah, I think. So if I pick my November year ends, you tell me off if I'm wrong. So I'll pick, say, Uniform Limited, Victor Limited, and Whiskey Limited, because these are my 3 here. I'll then be able to go to at the top, bulk action, message, and then compose email. And I can then pick my template, which would be corporation tax payment reminder. And I can then see what Uniform Limited would get. Right, see they're all 0 because my figure's not correct in my corporation tax figure. But you can see it's going to say Dear Uniform Limited, kind regards from me. Yep, change that one to see what Victor would receive. It will be Dear Victor Limited. Yeah, it's going to be 0 again because the figure's not coming across from tax because there isn't a tax return payment due yet for the particular client. And then you'll be able to then send that out in bulk straight away. Click send, it would then tell you. Okay, yeah. But yeah, hopefully that has given you the information that you would like. Bulk emails can be edited on that one, Stevie. So if you wanted to change it, but bear in mind what that would then do is you can only then change the entire template. You're not going to change it for a specific client. You can't like put them in a queue yet and then change them and tell them for each client. That's something which I was literally discussing this morning with a member of the product team about an option to do that. But yeah, hopefully this morning has been helpful for you. Appreciate it was a relatively last minute session that we put together. Please do reach out and let us know if there's anything in particular that you would like us to go through. Like we said, around the checklist emails, anything else, please do reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm just Nick Moss on LinkedIn. My email address will pop into the chat as well. If anyone's got any questions after today, I'll put it in there. If anyone wants to ask me anything directly, please do pop it in there and we can organise potentially one-to-one sessions, anything needed, and we can help you. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us today. And yeah, reach out if you have any other questions. Thank you.